Good day, YouTube. Thank you for tuning in today. We're going to be going through, I'm going to be going through my top 10 favorite Milwaukee hand tools. I know that there's been a lot of talk about how crappy Milwaukee hand tools are. You're not going to hear that from me. I don't think they're crappy at all. I'm actually very fond of them. When I first started buying tools several years ago, I thought that they presented a really happy medium as far as, they're not super overly priced, but they're not cheap. So that to me is right where I want to land. So I started picking up a variety of Milwaukee hand tools. And then I started to see people talk about how crappy they were. I kind of started to second guess my investment in Milwaukee hand tools, but then I just found over time that they work for me. So I've continued to buy Milwaukee hand tools, even up to the point where they've started to kind of incorporate some of the USA made stuff here recently. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the list. Coming in at number 10 on the top 10 favorite Milwaukee tools, hand tools of mine, are the squares. So you've got the 8x12 framing square, as well as the 16x24 framing square. And then you've also got the 4.5-inch Rafter square, as well as a 7-inch Rafter square, and then a 12-inch Rafter square. So this one actually just hit the market over the last year. I'm not sure exactly when, but as soon as it did, I rushed out and got these just because I do quite a bit of fabrication work with my brother, and we found that using these squares have just been phenomenal in helping us kind of get the measurements and cuts correct on some of our larger sheet goods. So we break down 1/4 inch, 4 foot by 8 foot sheets of steel pretty much daily. So these help us really get the lineups right where we need them so that we can make the cuts. The things I really love about these squares are the high visibility markings. Oftentimes, if you use like the Swanson squares that don't have colors, it can be a little bit difficult or tricky to see some of the grade marks and some of the measurements. So therefore I like these much better just because they contrast a lot easier, especially when you're dealing in, certain situations where your lighting is kind of variable. These really come in handy for the sake of that. So I coming in number 9 on the top 10 favorite hand tools from Milwaukee of mine personally is the drywall hammer. This one is a unique tool just because I watched a video on the way that my house was built with the mortar and whatnot, and I saw the guys back in the 50s using these types of hammers to do their drywall work. So it was kind of intriguing from that standpoint. So I just went and grabbed it when I saw it. Just kind of randomly came across it one day at Home Depot, so I picked it up. Clearly, I haven't done any drywall work with it, but it does give you the ability to, make your cuts. Also, kind of split some of the drywall, and then you can hammer in nails as well with it. It has the milled face on it. The model number for this hammer is 48-22-9060. The number 8 tool on my top 10 Milwaukee hand tools are the bolt cutters. This model is 48-22-4014. I don't know how you get by without a good set of bolt cutters. These things have gotten me out of precarious situations in more instances than I can count. They have a max cutting capacity of 5/16 inch, so that's just big enough to get around your typical padlock or something like that, in case you lose a key or in case you need to get into something that perhaps you're not supposed to get into. I'll let you kind of figure that out on your own, not encouraging it. One of the things that I do really love about, the variety of Milwaukee hand tools are the comfort grips. So these come with big beefy comfort grips. They have forged steel blades, so they should last and stand up to, whatever conditions you're using them in. Number 7 on the list of my top 10 Milwaukee hand tools are the adjustable wrenches. So this one here is actually the 15-inch adjustable wrench. So this is the largest one that you can buy from Milwaukee. The model number on this one is 48-22-7415. I only have the 15-inch version. I don't have the smaller versions just because I've picked up other adjustable wrenches from other companies. But as I've gotten to use these on a couple of different occasions, I may have to reconsider and actually go pick up the other sizes, which it does come in. They do come in a 12-inch version, a 10-inch version, an 8-inch version, on down to a 6-inch version. So one of the things that I really like about these are the measurements on the head here, so you can open it up and get exactly to where you need to. So if you want to get on a 1/2-inch bolt there, you can literally line it up precisely right at the 1/2-inch mark and you're good to go. They do have a proprietary screw jam, or a screw, so that it doesn't jam up, and it does stop once you get all the way opened up, so you don't have to worry about this piece falling out and having to deal with that part. Also, the movement is incredibly smooth. I know when I was growing up, these adjustable wrenches were usually pretty loose, and there was just no way you could get an accurate fit on anything hardly. So these are much improved over kind of the stuff that us millennials grew up around. Coming in at number 6 on the top 10 favorite Milwaukee hand tools of mine are the long reach pliers. So they've got the 2 standard pliers with the straight nose and then the 45-degree bent nose. There's also 3 different hose plier sizes. So you've got a 5/16 inch, a 1/2-inch version, as well as a 3/4 inch version. So these they're not super new, but they are less than, I would say, 2 years old on the market, and they have been an insanely incredible game changer for me, just from the standpoint of being able to reach things that are almost nearly impossible to reach. The opening on them is very unique in that it doesn't span further than than your handles here. So that's something that on most long reach pliers, it's like you don't get as much opening, and then you're all the way out here with your handles. So these are much improved over those. They have the multi gripping zones, so you can kind of do a number of things with these, from rounded off items to more rugged items to more fine items. All right, number 5 on the list of my top 10 most liked or favorite Milwaukee tools are the tape measures. So I've got a plethora of Milwaukee tape measures from throughout the last, I guess, 6 or so years. I typically try to pick up about maybe 2 to 4 a year, just in the event they do kind of break down and degrade. I haven't had many problems with any of the tape measures from Milwaukee specifically. I will say that I've got this 25-foot auto lock that's probably 6 years old, doesn't quite auto lock anymore. So that's just kind of an example of, one of the tape measures that I'll be replacing over the course of this year, but it has done me well. One of the things that I love about Milwaukee tape measures specifically is their incredibly long stick out. I forget exactly how far. I think they can stick out to about 17 feet, if I'm not mistaken, before they start to bend. On some of the larger tape measures, they do have the measurements on the bottom as well as on the top. That is a phenomenal feature, just because, a lot of times, we end up measuring pretty unorthodox material sometimes from pretty random positions. So being able to, get your measurement from one side or the other, or either side, is of critical importance. The other thing I do like about some of their bigger ones is they do have like the finger stop on the bottom here, so you can pull that out and just use your finger to kind of control how much you're measuring. So that is insanely beneficial when you're trying to get stuff done or measure it up a little bit quicker. So number 4 on the list of top 10 Milwaukee tools from my standpoint are going to be their knives. So I'm sure everyone is familiar with the fastbacks. These utility knives are amazing. They're feature rich. They work. They're great. They are, I want to say, 6-in-1 multi-tool. So you've got your knife, you've got a small cable or small wire cutter. You've got, of course, a screwdriver with a Phillips head bit as well as a flathead bit on the other side. It's got a lanyard. Drawn a blank on exactly all of the features of these fastbacks, but it's one of those things. Oh, it's a bottle opener too, in case you're having a nice cold beverage to keep yourself hydrated while you work. So yeah, it's a very multifaceted tool, and I want to say I've probably got about 10 or 12 of these laying around in various spots. They're not all the exact same model with the screwdriver, but I will say that Milwaukee blades and multi-knives are impressive, to say the least. And then there's also a number of their just utility knives. So this is like the insulation knife that they have. This has been great. We have to use a lot of spray foam around the house. So this knife really comes in handy when you're going to go and kind of cut that and shape the spray foam into something a little bit nicer. They do come with these sheaths to protect you and the knife. We've got the Hawkbill knife here. So this one's good for wire cutting and some of your maybe larger scale electrical work that you might need to do. And lastly, for the knives, are going to be a couple of these fixed blade knives, so just your kind of general purpose knives. You've got a straight edge as well as a serrated edge on this knife, so this one's kind of multifaceted in that regard. The model number on this one is 48-22-1920. I'm not exactly sure if this is still available on the market just because the handle is a little bit different. However, I did pick this up several years ago, but it is a wonderful knife. And then another fixed blade knife is the 48-22-1926. So this one is, it doesn't have the serrated edges, so it's just sharp edges on one side. But it is a full tang knife. So you have one, solid piece of steel all the way from the tip to the bottom here. Number 3 tool, or category of tools, set of tools, however you want to call it, on the list of my top 10 favorite Milwaukee tools are going to be the pry bars. So these are your standard pry bars, not your more mechanic version, but I've got the mechanic versions too, but we're going to talk about the basic version of pry bars, crowbars, whatever you want to call it. They do have the 12-inch version as well as a 15-inch version, and then also a 21-inch version of each one of these. So again, I'm one of those guys. I like to things like this I definitely have in pairs. So each one of these I have 2 of, just because I find that they help in tandem a lot of times when I'm I guess I look at pry bars as like I'm usually doing something I'm not supposed to do when I'm using a pry bar, so I need to have as much leverage as possible, so I like to have 2 of them on everything. But they are forged steel, so they are useful for heavy duty situations. They've got this this shock absorption material here that is super comfortable, especially if you're banging on this with a hammer or anything and you're having to hold it with another hand. Your hands and your shoulders and your brain will thank you later on when you're not having residual reverb from all the hammering and banging and whatnot. And making it in at number 2 on my list of my top 10 favorite Milwaukee hand tools are going to be the adjustable pliers. So just these guys. These are some of the smaller ones that I have. But they do make 2, or right as of now, they make at least these 2 variations. I believe they're coming out with some new adjustable pliers here shortly, sometime this spring. but for now, this is what we got. These are probably, I would say, the tools that made me kind of fond of Milwaukee hand tools specifically. These were some of the first ones that I had ever picked up. I immediately fell in love with the comfort grip. I don't know if if you came up in the 90s or 80s especially, comfort grip was not, it either wasn't a thing, or if it was a thing, it was not a thing for long, because I've only ever seen some of that old stuff kind of break down with time. And I can say that these are not anywhere near that, so they've stood up very well over the years. So like I said, these were some of the very first Milwaukee hand tools that I had ever picked up, and they are all, I'm glad to say that they are all still with me in working condition, in great working condition, to say the least. So they do come in a variety of sizes. So you've got the straight jaws, and as well as the hex jaws. So the straight jaws come in a 20-inch version. I think I've said it before, I do like to buy tools in pairs. I do not have two of these. I've only got the one version of these, because these are some pretty big pliers, to say the least. Slightly smaller, but then they've also got the 16-inch version of the straight jaw, as well as a 12-inch, 10-inch, and then a 6-inch. So these, all these adjustable pliers do kind of have a couple of different purposes, or a couple of different use cases. So you can ream with these, you can clean out your reaming with this end. Then there's also the hex jaw versions. So we've got a 12-inch hex jaw, a 10-inch hex jaw, and then a 6-inch hex jaw. And now for the number one top tool from Milwaukee, top hand tool from Milwaukee, in my opinion, is going to be these multi-bit screwdrivers. I know that may come as a shock that this is my favorite tool. The reason why I would say that this is specifically my favorite tool, hand tool from Milwaukee, is just because of how much I hated multi-bit screwdrivers prior to now. I never found one that actually, I don't want to say it worked or didn't work. It seemed like you always had trouble, keeping the bits contained, keeping up with the bits. So I love the onboard storage idea that Milwaukee came up with these. I like that it's easy to access the additional bits. Like when you're done with one, you can literally just push it through to get the next one to come out, like so, and you're good to go. And then also, one of the things that I really like is that you got these 1/4-inch hexes. So you can throw these in your impact drivers, you can throw it in your regular drill driver, chuck or whatnot. So you're not just limited to using them in just these screwdriver heads. So they've put out a number of these in different varieties. So you've got the SAE hex squares, you've got the metric hex squares. There's just a multi-bit with a variety of Phillip head, flathead, square heads, and then lastly you've got the Torx one with the variety of sizes, just specific to Torx. It looks like they're coming out with a couple of new versions of these in the next few months, so I'll be picking those up. But I will say that, I think I picked up the original set with just the Phillip head and the flatheads first, and it was kind of a downhill thing from there. I figured I needed to have all of them, and I will say I'm one of those people that, I'm pretty good with figuring out what size bit I need for something, but I usually land somewhere within about 3 different sizes. So it's nice to be able to just take, one of these hex bits with me, or hex drivers with me, and I don't have to guess. I can just kind of pull out which one I need because they're all here with me in real time. Hey, thank you for taking the time to watch today. I hope you were able to pull some good information from that top 10 list. Maybe it was inspiring. Hopefully it was. If it was, or even if it wasn't, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Would love to communicate back and forth and you know, talk tools. It's one of my favorite things to do. So this was the top 10 hand tools. The next video, we're going to cover my top 10 favorite Milwaukee plumbing tools, and then further on down the line in the 4-part series, we're going to talk about top 10 electricians tools as well as top 10 accessories. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.